Hey everybody, it's Shelly with Goat and Every Day, and I thought I'd pop on here and do one of my ramblings and education videos. Some of them I'm going to call education videos instead of just crazy goat lady ramblings. Anyway, so some of you know me personally and message me and ask me questions, and so I'm going to answer some of those questions because when I started the page, I didn't want it to just be funny goat videos. I wanted some of them to be educational also, because I don't want people just to, I want people when they decide to raise goats to do it properly. And because the most frustrating thing for me is when people call me and they find out that I know a little bit about goats and they're afraid to ask a vet a question because they've let a goat get down so bad, so then they think that they can call me and that I'm a miracle worker, and I'm not by any means. I just try to help people, but I would rather that they be educated before they get the goats than after, because I am a huge person to be proactive than reactive. So we're going to do a couple little educational things, because you're all like, well, your does are so healthy looking after they've had twins and triplets and 10-pound twins, and how do they still look like they haven't had babies and stuff like that. So we're going to touch on a couple little things like that today. So here we go. First and foremost is what we feed them. We used to feed them a company called Mies Feeds, and since then that company went out of business, so we had to go searching for a different feed. And I have a really good childhood friend who owns a feed company, and so I went to her. They actually came to me saying, can we try to get to make your feed? And I just loved Mies Feeds, and I said, and then when Mies Feeds went out of business, it was a no-brainer. I said, you mix this for me, but this is what I wanted. I wanted some particular things in it. I wanted ammonium chloride in it for the bucks. I did not want to have to carry 5 or 6 different feeds to feed my herd. I wanted to feed everybody basically the same thing. So I wanted things in it for the bucks. I wanted, my big thing is, it's so cold here in Iowa in the wintertime that if it has so much molasses in it, the feed gets hard. And in the summertime, it's so hot, the molasses draws flies. The molasses is what makes it palatable for the goats to like, but we have those 2 problems with it. So I wanted to cut the molasses in it. And I also wanted to use some things to possibly, by cutting the molasses and then adding some other things to help with parasite control, help with blood flow, help with different things in it. Because I had done some research, and I had researched and we had met with the nutritionist out at Quality Plus Feeds is who we use in St. Paul, Iowa. Here, I'll flip it around and show you their big. Quality Plus Feeds, St. Paul, Iowa. You call out there and you ask to talk to a guy named Dusty Wilson, and he is their route specialist and their salesman, and he'll let you know if he can get you their feed. And it is not just local. It is, they can get it to you nationwide. It goes clear to Oregon now. So anyway, there we go. So anyway, we met with their nutritionist. He helped us. And so we got, and we've worked different things. And so we have a mix of feed that we feel has done what we wanted it to do. We actually feed less feed than what we were feeding before, and keep our goats at a higher birth weight babies, better body scores on our does. They bounce back better after having kids, and so on and so on and so on. So anyway, so feed is your number one thing. You have to have correct rations, and you have to feed them properly. It's not always about pouring more feed to them, because if they're not processing it properly and their body's not absorbing it properly, it doesn't matter. So if you're pouring feed to them and they're pooping out what I call dog poop, logs, it's not doing them any good. So you've got to get them absorbing it properly. So we had heard about Doc's probiotics. And so I got talking with the owner of Doc's Probiotics, Danny Birch, and he makes a packet of powder. It's a 1 pound packet of powder. So we got with our feed company and got them. And so they actually carry Doc's Probiotics at Quality Plus Feeds now, and you can have it put in the feed. And the feed at Quality Plus is called Timber Valley Ranch Goat Ration, because that is the name of our farm. For those of you who didn't know, our farm is not called Goat and Every Day. Our farm is called Timber Valley Ranch Boar Goats. So if you call it a Quality Plus feed and you want the feed that we feed, you ask for Timber Valley Ranch feed. So anyway, they carry Doc's Probiotics now, and they can put that 1 pound package of feed in a ton of feed and in the particulator, and you can have Doc's Probiotics in your feed. And what we have found is that 1 pound package of Doc's Probiotics in that feed seems to really help. We've been feeding it now. This is our 3rd year, our 2nd full kidding, and it really, really helps the does we find. Their hair is better. Their milk production is better. And then I'm going to tell you the next thing now. So Doc's Probiotics, this is our 3rd year. Now this is our 2nd year. This is our 2nd full kidding and full year of feeding. We now feed what I didn't want to do, but we do it anyway. We have a medicated feed and a non-medicated feed. This is our 2nd full year of kidding. It's actually our 1st full year of non-medicated feed for the breeding age goats. Monosin and Rumicin, which is fed to prevent coccidia, has a place and a time. Non-breeding age goats, up to about, we feed it up to 10 months. Yes, they need coccidia medication because they're rotten, dirty little brats that eat everything on the ground, and they get coccidia. And yes, they need coccidia medication. And I'm not saying that they don't. And I say Monosin and Rumicin has a place in its time, and it needs to be in their feed. After 10 months, we do not feed medicated feed. Adult goats don't get it enough, and if one gets it, we treat it on an individual basis. We had some losses. We had a lot of pregnancy, not a lot, I'm not going to say a lot, that's a lie, Shelley. 1 or 2 cases of pregnancy toxemia a year. Feeding those goats the same amounts that we were feeding others. We had some big bucks. We would walk out and they would be dropped dead for no apparent reason. And after doing this 2-year study and really looking at that, and then going through and reading the pages and pages and pages of the information that those companies that make that Monosin and Rumicin, they don't think that it needs to be in there either. It says it is not made for breeding age goats. It says it right on there. So why are we putting it in our feed? So we have chosen not to. We have our feed custom made, so we do not put it in there. So none of our breeding age. This is the first full year we have not had it for a complete year in our breeding age goats, and it is amazing. Our does' placentas are healthier. Our does' colostrum is thicker. And I'm not saying that our does last year looked like they hadn't kidded either. So their body scores, we score our does on a 1 to 10 after they have kidded, and we keep that on a card so we know what we're looking for. But best thing that you will ever do for your herd, take them off of medicated feed. They do not need it. Your breeding age goats do not need medicated feed. Point blank. There you go. That is this crazy goat lady's opinion. Take it or leave it. For those of you who think my goats look amazing after they've kidded, I do not have a magic wand. I do not overfeed them. I'm just telling you, that is what it is. We feed our does about 3 pounds of food a day when they're nursing. At this point in time, when the kids are really young and they haven't started eating too much grain yet, we will cut that down as the babies get older and consume more grain on their own. They get a good alfalfa hay and they don't get limited on quantity amounts of it. We give them a little bit. We also feed them chaffé, which is compressed fermented alfalfa. We feed that instead of the alfalfa in this kidding barn because the hay makes a mess and I don't want a mess in here. So they get one of my tiny handfuls of chaffé a day, plus their feed. So if that's what we give them. So we are not overfeeding. If I feed them and if they start getting what I call the dog poops, then I back their feed off. They don't need that much. So as long as they're pooping pelleted feed and do poop and doing great, that's what they get to eat. There is no magic trick. Everybody gets the same thing, and that's how we do it. So there you go. Crazy goat lady rambling. Hopefully that answers some of your questions on feed. We do not bring them in this kidding barn. I'll go into that one later because I don't need another 10-minute rant. So that's how we keep our does looking good. We feed them. Not a lot. They get our feed, Quality Plus feed, St. Paul, Iowa. There's Doc's probiotics in it. There is not rumicin, monicin in it. They don't need it. And there you go. Have a great day. See ya.